goals in gear with the burning desire. Success is near. Think and grow rich, yeah, I raid every page. Linked up with my tribe, now flipping the stage. Faith on 100, no plan. Beat action every day I'm who I'm meant to be.
Make 'em real, move with purpose, speak and feel. Plan your work your plan. This is how legends stand. We the mastermind, us on the team. Our family is empire in the team. From the big sports for legacy. And we believe that we are still living before we rise. Our sitting burning in our eyes. And then tall and free. And the ones that history gon' see.
I don't hold back, expect to win, because defeat's just fuel for the power thing. Every setback just to set up for more. We don't knock, we build the door. Auto suggestion on replay. I affirm my life like it's D-Day. With clarity, I navigate the fog on a mission with God and my mastermind squad. Shout to the queen, Miss Sam McNeil. She laid the bricks, so the vision is real. Principles eternal, yeah, this ain't hype. This Napoleon Hill. Control the tension. Definiteness of purpose. Faith. This is how we move. This is how we build empires.
Conceive it, yeah. Believe it, yeah. Achieve it, that's all. Conceive it, yeah. Believe it, yeah. Achieve it, repeat it, that's all. We don't survive. Dream, I have this empire team. From the next boys to the legacy. We can feel, believe that we achieve. No limit is what we ride. This is burning in our eyes. It's all separate. We the ones that history gon' see.
You're gonna be dream. Enough to build it.
And good morning, and welcome to the Think and Grow Rich. And live. My name is, and you know why I'm excited every day? Yes, it is because I am learning how to program my own subconscious mind as we talk about this principle today called how do you feel, or what are you putting into your chat? You see, today's conversation is focusing on the subconscious mind as espoused by Napoleon Hill in his phenomenal book, Think and Grow Rich. But as you think about your own subconscious mind, what does it look like? What does it look like for you? You see, when you think about this, and I like to call it let the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable in thy sight. What does it look like for you? What are the words of your mouth and the meditations of your heart? Yes, it's about the subconscious mind. That's what we're talking about today. I want to say good morning to everybody. This podcast is about the 13 principles espoused by Napoleon Hill. And for those of you that may be listening for the first, second, or third time, you know that Andrew Carnegie, yes, regardless of what you think about him, he asked Napoleon Hill if he would take a 20-year research on the principles of success and identify what are those principles and how is it that people can be born into poverty and become very wealthy? And then how is it that those who can be born wealthy and become very poor? What are the principles behind that? And I'd like to start this off by asking you the question. If Carnegie or somebody of this day, Elon Musk, ask you, would you be willing to take 20 years of your life and research the philosophy of success? Would you do it? Probably not. Well, you see, these 13 principles are all connected to your desire. And the principle we're discussing today is how do you input the information that you desire into your subconscious mind to bring back whatever it is you desire. And I like to start it off by sharing what Napoleon Hill shares when he says that your subconscious mind, my subconscious mind, is like a field of consciousness. Now, even though it files every feeling and every thought and every impression that you have, you can recall voluntarily or involuntarily those feelings. Last time I did this, I talked about the Thanksgiving dinner. And many of you, thank you for listening today, have been able to connect to that. And I'm just curious if you can put in the chat. And we want to welcome all of you, Savvy Business Consultant, Doretha, everybody that's here. Can you put in the chat, Carla, all of you, can you put in the chat your favorite meal from Thanksgiving? Can you put that in the chat? What was your favorite meal from Thanksgiving? Just put it in the chat. Now, I want you to go back to the feelings of that meal from childhood or grandma, or maybe it was a family gathering. I want you to go back to the feeling. Because you see, each of those feelings have created I like to call it a meme or a mind inside of each of us that reminds us that this is what we're supposed to do during Thanksgiving. So even though we say it's about giving thanks, what about every single day giving thanks? Do we only give thanks just that one time a year? Maybe. Or maybe you have a process that you use for this giving thanks. Now, as I began to research to host this again today, I started thinking about the power of this particular principle and what does it really look like? Every thought, every image, in my own life. And I brought some prompts today because this is going to be a study, but it's also going to be a show and tell. Now, this is one of my prompts I brought today. Can you, if you recognize, let's see, make sure you don't see his name, but if you recognize this face, make sure you can see that. If you recognize this face, can you put it in the chat? If you recognize this face, can you put it in the chat? Now, why is that a prompt for me today? Because as I began to do the research on this philosophy, I wanted to make sure that I also made it real. I want to make this real today because the power of the subliminal seduction is so powerful. Oftentimes we don't realize what it looks like. The reason I chose that prompt is because I went to Morgan State a few years ago to visit my grandson. And on the way to this event we were going to attend, I passed by the bookstore in Baltimore, Black bookstore. And I purchased every single book they had on Frederick Douglass. Don't know why. This was many years ago. And I read every single thing that I could find that he wrote and others wrote about him. And this is what I found. He was the most photographed individual during his time living. The research was done by Kodak. But why was he the most photographed individual? Powerful. Because he decided that he would be the face of a slave. Now, today I wanted to get the picture and I couldn't find it quickly. And I'm going to share it with you. And I know you will be able to visualize this. Think of any slave picture that's in your mind. This is subconscious mind at work. Okay. I am thinking of the slave who's bent over, and on his back, it looks like tic-tac-toe. There are X's like this all over his back, webs. Now, have you ever seen that picture? If you've seen that picture before, say yes in the chat. Now, because you have seen that picture, I want you to think about how an individual can decide. And basically, these were his words. He said every time he went into a Black person's house during his time, he saw pictures of Christ and a few other whites on the walls of Blacks. And because he understood the power of the subconscious mind programming, he made a conscious decision that his face, let me show it to you again. And I want you to think about what you see in his face. Have you ever seen him out of uniform? Probably not. When I realized the power of the photographs and the power of an intention inside your own subconscious mind, I decided that this face that you're looking at today, this is subconscious mind at work. I decided that my face would be the face of a Black woman in construction. And at first, when I thought about it, now this is how subconscious mind works. This is how it works. We have thoughts and we have feelings, but seldom do we do anything with it. Another prompt that I brought today, and for those of you that like word studies and like books, Conscious Language. This is a book that's written all about your subconscious mind. And the author is Robert Tennyson Stevens, and somebody can put it in the chat. And he helped me over the years to understand that when and I'm glad you're on here, Doretha, we talked about this yesterday, when I use the words don't, can't, that my subconscious mind does not know the difference between what's true or false. It only knows what I tell it over and over and over again. Remember now, it is filing thought impressions like a filing cabinet. And so when you use the word, and we talked about this on the Think and Grow Rich Friday Accountability Mastermind, when we use the words can't, and I'll Doretha, you don't mind if I use you as an example from yesterday, right? I don't think you would mind. When we use the word can't, what basically is happening, let's use the word that Doretha said on the podcast yesterday. She said, don't forget to join Ann tomorrow. This was on Friday. Don't forget to join Ann tomorrow on the Think and Grow Rich live podcast. And I waited a moment and I could not take it any longer. And I had to raise my hand and come on. And I said, okay. What we just did, Doretha, was we told everybody, do not come. Hold up now. This is the power of the subconscious mind. When your subconscious mind does not know the difference between what's true or false, it only knows what you tell it over and over and over and over again. You tell that child, don't do this, versus telling that child, do that and that and that. You don't have to then tell them, don't do. Because when we tell ourselves and others, don't, the subconscious mind does not pick up the N apostrophe T. It only picks up the do. When we say cannot, it does not pick up the N and apostrophe T. It only picks up the can do. I have to sit there for one moment because see, this is so powerful and it's so empowering that oftentimes we don't really think about how does this work. And oftentimes we look at a situation that we do not want to happen in the sense of prayer, like we discussed. And we pray and we think and we speak about all the things that we do not want to have happen to us, for us. And exactly the subconscious mind picks up the do happen this way. It removes the N and removes the apostrophe T, and it will give you everything you say. And that's why I keep coming back to let the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable in my sight, O Lord, my strength, my redeemer. Whatever it is you want to say, whatever it is you want to call forth, speak it, write it. And as many of you know, I have a process that I use where I write the self-confidence formula every day. I speak it every day, along with Doretha and some others. And it is empowering. My exercise today, quick story, because my mind is so automatically programmed. When I wrote it today, my mind combined two parts. It combined part 2, which says, I realize that the dominating thoughts of my mind will eventually reproduce themselves in outward physical action and gradually transform themselves in physical reality. Therefore, I will concentrate my thoughts for 30 minutes daily upon the task of thinking of the person I intend to become. But when I went to write part 3, now this is how the mind works. We're talking about the subconscious mind, and we're talking a little bit about the brain, because the brain and the subconscious mind are so intricately connected to the infinite intelligence. It would give you 6 sense exactly what you say. So when I wrote the third part, which says that I know that through the principle of autosuggestion, that any desire that I persistently hold in my mind, and then my mind went back to number 2. Why is this important? Because we are programming our minds like a chat, like a bot. But if we don't put anything in it, how can we receive anything from it? How can you pull up out of it what you've not put in it? And so my mind then skipped the line. And my mind said, I know that I have the ability to achieve that. See, that's my point. That's exactly my point. I wrote number 3, but I mixed it with number 2 because my mind has been programmed to keywords. And one of the other prompts I brought today is a figure. Les Brown has been on this podcast 3 times. And it amazes me, talking about mind programming, it amazes me that if you say something to Les Brown, and if you go back and watch, and I'm going to challenge each of you to watch any interview that he does, his mind is like a computer, and it does a word search. He made a commitment and a decision early in life that he would memorize more quotes than anybody living. Now, he's a student of Frederick Douglass, many people, Jim Rohn, many of these people, he's a student of these individuals. But he decided that no one would be able to remember more quotes than he does. And so if you watch his eyes and you watch his mind in action when he's speaking to anybody, his mind will go in automatic search, and he will find the words that connect to what you're saying. He pulls up a quote and he recites it. Now, how could he do that, Les Brown, if he did not input a book a week, not a book a month, but a book a week? He's in 2 or 3 or 4 books a day. What are you putting inside your chat? What are you putting inside your bot to pull back up at a time where you need that information? And that's what I wanted to share today when I talk about the power of your subconscious mind. It's just like a chat. What's interesting too, and this was a revelation for me and a really big aha for me today, as I was doing my research for this podcast, I went to chat and I asked it about Frederick Douglass, because I wanted to pull up exactly what he said about his face. And guess what Chat said to me? He said he didn't say it. Now, this is what I know to be true. I went on my phone and I did it 3 times. I asked ChatGPT to give me, and I'm pulling it up now, because I want all of us to understand that even though we use these technologies and we expect it to give us whatever it is that has been inputted in there. But what if the information was not downloaded? See, I know what I read. I know what Frederick Douglass said, but Chat couldn't find it. And it came back to me and it said, didn't happen. Now, I'm not going to take a lot of time doing that right now with you sitting here, but I know what I read. I know what I saw. And so when I think about what I am inputting into myself every single day, I know that it is in relation to what is it that I desire. And if you don't have a desire and you're not putting anything in, how do you expect to get anything out? You can't. Now, let's talk about briefly, how do you impact your own subconscious mind? What do you do? What do you tell it? What is it that you are deciding you want? This is why having your own definite chief purpose, having your own definite chief aim is so critically important. I do want to pay respects to all of you that's joining me today. Yes, and if you have any questions or comments, please put them in the chat. Yes, Gwendolyn, welcome. Let's see here. Promised Son. Many people that have email addresses as your name, so forgive me if I don't call it. Miss Llewellyn, Carla. Yes. The Promised Son. If any of you have any kind of questions or comments, please don't hesitate to put them in the chat. I'm not sure what's happening with YouTube because it is only giving me your emails. All right, but let me come back to this. I want to just make sure that we talk a little bit about what does it really look like when you input information into your subconscious mind that you desire, because so much of the programming, and I wrote some notes, I'll just make sure I cover them. So one of the things I talked about that I want to make sure that I did cover was Black Friday. Yesterday, and again, this is programming how it looks, right? Yesterday, I walk every day. Okay. So I did the post and the podcast yesterday from where I walk, and I happened to walk at a secured location, which is also called the parking lot of the mall, because at 4, 5, and 6 o'clock in the morning, they have roving security 24/7. So it's very secure. As Black Friday came upon us in the parking lot and people were coming by droves, in droves, as I began to leave to come home, the subconscious mind images, and this is why this is so important. I cannot stress this enough, how we are so programmed. I had the thought, wait a minute, I'm already at the mall. This is Black Friday. Now, mind you, now, I had no intentions whatsoever to buy anything. I don't need to buy anything. But we have all been programmed with these ads and these sales and this discount and all of this stuff. Now I'm physically in the parking lot of the mall and it is packed and people are coming and they're going. It is 6 o'clock in the morning now and people are already walking out with bags. I'm watching this in my subconscious mind, and my mind tells me, oh, you're already at the mall. Why don't you go inside? Why do I need to go inside? I don't need anything. And as I'm putting my car in drive, I am listening to what's playing on my car YouTube, which is the subconscious mind principle from Think and Grow Rich. And it shocks me back into the realization, I don't need anything. Why am I being programmed like a zombie to go into the mall? I know I'm going to come out with something. Now, I'm talking not just to myself, I'm talking to each and every one of us. What is it that you are being programmed to do, to buy, to say, to feel? And you have absolutely no acknowledgement of what's going on. No acknowledgement of what's going on. This is your inner audience that has been fed all of this information since birth. Yes. And by the time we're 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, we have received so much programming that we don't even realize we're being programmed. Why do we think TV shows are called programs? Why are they called programs? Can somebody give me a I want you to think about that for a second. It is programming our mind to do exactly what the commercials say. My family forever, as long as I can remember, every Sunday at home, we have a family ritual. The family ritual goes like this. Family dinner is being prepared between 5 and 7 p.m. 7 p.m., the table is set. My granddaughter, when she was 3 and 4, she knows how to set the table, know how to plate, everything. She's 9 now. She's still setting the table. But every Sunday at 7 p.m., we watch 60 Minutes as a family, and we discuss what we're watching. But this is what I want all of you, if you ever watch 60 Minutes, put 60 in the chat. I'm talking to you. I really want us to understand how this programming works. Many years ago, 60 Minutes would have one commercial. The one commercial lasted 60 seconds on 60 Minutes. And I want you to think about this. Programming, 60 minutes, 60 seconds for a commercial. Right now, I timed it. That commercial is 7 seconds. Did I say 7 seconds? And there are 3 to 4 during the 60 minutes, and they play over and over again. And if you think I'm joking, go back to 60 Minutes online. I don't know if they do the commercials online, but my point is this: it is the programming that we're all bombarded with, and we don't realize why we think a certain way, why we dress a certain way, why we speak a certain way. It is the programming. But my question to you, and I'll come back to the beginning of this podcast, what is it that you're putting into your chat? What are you telling it? Because I know, I'm going to go back to this. I know what I read. And if you think about Frederick Douglass, and for those of you that know his story, everywhere he would visit during his time, he would contact a photographer in advance of arriving to his location, and he would schedule an appointment to be photographed. Then he would get literally hundreds of copies, and he would send them out to all of his friends, and he would give them out to everybody himself. This is marketing to ensure that they had his image subliminally placed into their minds. And this is so powerful and empowering that when you stop and think about how you present yourself, and I don't mean just in physical, but I mean every sense of the imagination. How are you presented? How are you received? Internally, not externally, Because see, we show up before we show up. Have you ever been in a room? Somebody walks in, they've not said a word, but you pick up that spirit. That is your subconscious mind, the God in you connecting with the God in them. But hold up. Have you ever been in a situation where somebody walked in and you didn't feel the same way about that person? Actually, you felt just the opposite, but you couldn't explain it. That is the subconscious mind not connecting with that spirit. And this is so deep. I cannot even scratch the surface. I can't scratch the surface. I cannot scratch the surface. I brought another prop. I hope I can pick it up, and then we're gonna take a moment. I decided that one of the reasons I host this, and I decided not to do a replay show today, because I am focusing on, this is my, and you can see this. Now I'm going to hold this up again, if you can see what that says. That says, let's make sure, work with me here. Okay. I'm not sure the camera can pick that up. This is my annual report. That's my annual report for my life. What does that mean? That means that every year I host an annual report for the life. Yes. And I have a special guest that decided to come on and join me today. We're going to talk with her shortly. But I want to just make sure that we talk about, how do you impact your own subconscious mind? What does that look like? What does it look like for you? What does it look like for you to impact your own subconscious mind, where you are able to actually focus on that which you desire, but also focus on writing? You see, every year we host this annual meeting, and I'm going to pull up this annual meeting. It's going to be held in January the 9th and 10th. January 9th and 10th in Boca Raton, Florida. As we host this, and I'm going to share these details because I think it's critically important that we have and show you, what does it look like for you when you think about your life? This is the details. Now, the reason I showed you my annual report, it started with one page over 20 years ago. I wrote one goal, my desire, how much money I want. And over time, as a part of a mastermind group that I'm in, we read another book. In addition to Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, we read a book entitled Success, the Glenn Bland Method. And that book was written by a young man, well, he was older, and he read Napoleon Hill's book, but he turned it into his book. He turned into the book of Proverbs, and he took each principle from Napoleon Hill and he matched it with a proverb. And he wrote his book called Success, the Glenn Bland Method, where he wrote goals in 4 different areas of the life. And he had about 20, 25 books in the back of it, which matched each of the areas. And so as our mastermind group that formed in the 1980s, we took that book, and I'm going somewhere here about your subconscious mind. We took that book and we then began to set goals in 4 areas of our life: spiritual, family, financial, and health. Over the years, we added education, personal development, your business or your career, your recreation, and your civic and your creative goals. We set these goals for 6 months, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, and I'm in my 40+ year right now. Why is this important? Because I am sharing with you, how do you impact your subconscious mind in every single area of your life? It is about what you put in it. You cannot get out of your subconscious that which you're not putting in, because it's connecting to your emotion, your faith, your autosuggestion, your repetition. What is the vision that you're holding of yourself? What is that vision? I'm going to come back to the comments, want to just make sure that I pay a lot of respect to those of you that are here that are joining us. Let's make sure. Okay. And we have a comment. You may have great. Okay. Let's see. Just want to make sure I play these comments. You may have great advice, but you have okay, I received that. Whoever it is you're talking about, thank you for that. Lynn, I just found my copy of that book. Thank you, Lynn. All right. And how do you suggest people learn to stop using the limiting language? How do you become more aware? Lynn, I would just, my response to that is definitely related to the auto-suggestion principle. All right. My suggestion to that is definitely related to the auto-suggestion principle. And actually having and writing out exactly what you desire shared. So for me, example, then I write the self-confidence formula every day, which you are familiar with. All right. And because of that, I am thoroughly convinced that I am programming my desire. So to answer your question, I would encourage anyone, first start with whatever it is that you desire. It could be a prayer, it could be an affirmation, but we live in these principles, and this is not the only way. Many of you may have other ways. I cannot speak to that. I can only tell you what I've done. I can only share with you what has worked for me. And what works for me is being clear about my spiritual goals, writing it out and acting on it and having a strategy. That's why this book looks like that. Being clear about my family goal. We have a family mission statement, and having strategies and action plans and actually being mindful of what does it look like. But the reason why I shared earlier about the annual meeting is because I think we should all have a place of accountability. And this is why, for any of you that's listening, I would encourage you. This is what I've created that helps us in the workbook. It's a manual and a workbook that talks about how do you start and run a successful mastermind group. And if you're interested in the details of this, you can go to internationalmasterminders.com. You can go to internationalmasterminders.com, and you can receive information about how to start and run your own successful mastermind group, which we host every Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time on Zoom, or we play it live like now on YouTube. So let me just make sure I pick up any other comments. Savvy business consultant from Charlotte, thank you so very much. X-Man, thank you, good morning. Shannon, good morning. Gwendolyn Jenkins, good morning, everyone. Carla says good morning from Philadelphia. Okay, Shakes, Sharon, can't make this out. Jackson, Sharon Jackson, good morning, Sharon. And again, any questions, please put them in the chat. Yes, Spanish, thank you. Mac and cheese, oh, rice and chicken and rice and pollo. Okay, that's what she had for Thanksgiving. Thank you. Frederick Douglass, yes, good morning. Diane King Flowers, Miss Llewellyn, thank you. Dressing in yams, yes, Gwendolyn. Doretha, it's okay, all right. Conscious language, Robert Tennyson, thank you. Vimeo, agree about the programming, yes. How do you take our loved ones lots of resistance? Let's see, the person who said this about the loved one, I would strongly suggest to become that which you expect them to become. That's another podcast. Again, we attract that which we are, not that which we want. We attract subconsciously and subliminally that which we are, not that which we want. That's where the work is. Okay. All right. Okay. Educate yourself. Perfect. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you. Constitution, learn the slaughterhouse. Yes, thank you. Okay, all right. Thank you so very much, everybody. I do want to go back to the annual meeting because I think it is so critically important that I invest some time really talking about this annual meeting because, again, this is where we focus energy on how do you actually, and people, a lot of you have been asking the questions about how do you actually do and become that which you desire. And I would suggest, I'm going to go back to this and I share this again. And if you can see this, if you have already registered to join us, please put it in the chat, registered. We have our founders reception going to be January 9th, 2026, and this is at the Embassy Suites. The annual meeting itself is January 10th and 2026. Now we will be at the Embassy Suites in Boca Raton, and you can register yourself and or your youth. Now, the reason I am sharing this is because space is limited, and I said this on yesterday. The space is limited, and for those of us who may wait to the last minute to register, we may not have space for you. And I know oftentimes many of us wait until the week of, but because we can only put 20 tables in the space, we only take 3, and as many of you know, 4, definitely no more than 5 people at a 10-person table, because we want you to interact with each other to review, and I bring mine up again, review your goals. What did you say you're going to do in 2025? Have you actually started doing that? And I'm going to stop here because, again, I want you to go to, if you have questions, you can go to annmcneil.com also. You can also text the number 599. Doretha, if you can put that in the chat for me, text the number 59925 and put the word "and" in the chat if you have any questions about the registration of Black Friday or a discount or anything like that. We will help you make it happen because I do not want to turn anybody away. Now, yesterday, I had the opportunity to share that I was going to be here today. I had a lot more information I did not get the chance to go to, but hopefully, prayerfully, we would have our other co-hosts will be back here next Saturday, and we will continue to talk about the next principle, which is the principle of the brain and the sixth sense. But as we wrap up this principle today of the subconscious mind, I would be remiss if I did not pay respects to Ms. Shantae Wells, which is here with me today. I asked yesterday if any of you wanted to come on and participate with us. Any questions or comments that you may have, then I ask you to text me at the number 59925 and put "and" in the chat and the number 26. And Ms. Shantae Wells was the only person that did that. So we're going to help me welcome this morning to this conversation, Ms. Shantae Wells. Good morning, Shantae. How are you this morning?
Top of the morning. I am feeling enthusiastic and energetic this morning. Woo! How are you, Ms. Ann?
Listen, Shantae. If I were any better, my dear, I would be you. If I were any better, I would be you. So thank you so very much for joining us this morning. And for those of you that may not know, Shantae has been involved with our International Mastermind Association. I don't know how many years. So can we talk about that for a moment before we start landing this plane? Because I know that you are one of the pioneers with us. I don't remember how young you were. I don't remember how young you were. And let me say this to everybody else. If you are interested also in joining this podcast, text the number 59925. Text the number 59925. And in the chat, put the word "and" then put the word "podcast." And we will, interview you and talk with you about how you can also join us. We have a sign up genius. You can go to the internationalmasterminders.com and you can register there. But I want to talk right now with all of you. And if any of you have questions for Shante, put your questions for Shante in the chat. All right. So Shante, let's talk a minute about what was your first introduction to the International Mastermind Association? Because we are talking about the subconscious mind. And when my mind goes back to memory, yes, I remember when.
I
Yes,
think we turning 21, Ann. I think we're turning 21. I want to say 2004, 2005 at the latest. It was around the time right before the annual meeting. So we're about to turn 21, Ann.
So wait. Let's make sure everybody understands. You have been here how many years with us with the International Mastermind Association?
Ooh, next month, we're talking 21 years.
Say that 21 years. You're not 21 years old, but
No,
you have
ma'am.
been here with us.
Yes,
For
ma'am.
how many? I want to make sure everybody understands. We didn't just start doing this like somebody interviewed me, Mr. Kellen, a few days ago, and he said, "No, you're true to this, Miss McNeil." And I thought about that, and I
Yes.
said, "Gosh, I've been doing this since 1979, and I've been in this principle every single week since 1979, every single week, and I'm not by myself." And I think that people like Shante Wells, Doretha Dennis, and of course, my favorite. Okay, I'm sorry, Sharon. I'm sorry, everybody. But yes, Lynn Whitfield. Yes,
Yes.
yes, Lynn Whitfield and Sharon Jackson are my favorites because I gave this book to them in 19, yes, in the early 1900s. Well, let's call it 1980s. And so, Shante, can you share with us a little bit about your experience when you came into this philosophy? Where were you mentally?
Oh man, I was a mess. I was a young mom. My daughter was young. I had to bring her. I didn't have a babysitter. And my entire life and business was devastated, Miss Ann, at that time when I came into the fold. And we were at, and Lord rest her soul, Miss Yolanda English home, and we were doing the first meeting I attended was there. And I found out through church. See, listen, Miss Ann is for real about this. No matter where she goes, whether it's a Sunday school class or a Bible class or stewardship meeting class at the church, she really truly lives this. And that is how it initially got on my radar. And then the first meeting happened at a home, and you all came and you embraced me and my daughter. And my daughter started learning at the same time as me. So, yes, 21 years.
And how old is she now?
She just turned 29. So so most of her life she has been programmed by this, and I'm looking forward
Oh,
to doing the same for my granddaughter.
wait. Now you just hit the nail on the head for me. And this goes to the questions that were asked in the chat. She has been programmed. You use those words.
Yes, ma'am. She's been
And
programmed.
well, I'm going to suggest to everybody that Shantae used, now we didn't practice this. She just
No.
came on. We're getting ready to land the plane. I used the word program. So guess what word she used?
Wow, programming. I had no idea you had already used it.
Say wow again.
Wow. See?
This is what subliminal seduction looks like. I was sharing with my granddaughter, who's 9. I was concerned about the fact that she has all of these devices. I don't think it's very healthy because we cannot intentionally watch what she's doing all the time. And so I was having this conversation with her about the power of the subconscious mind and subliminal seduction and what it looks like and all of that. And of course, she's not understanding what I'm saying, even though every Sunday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, I mastermind with the children. And Shante can attest, we used to do it in person before the podcast. I mean, before COVID and before the world was flattened, if you will, in terms of us being able to have these platforms. So we're sitting at the dinner table and the commercial comes on. This is programming. The commercial comes on, and the Aflac duck, is talking about well, there's a music playing, and he's moving his head from side to side. He's moving his head from side to side as the music is playing. No words spoken. My granddaughter, who's sitting at the table, she starts moving her head from side to side. She starts moving her head from side to side. At that moment, I turned to her. We're all sitting there. And I said, that is an example of subliminal seduction. It opened the door for me to have the conversation with her, to be mindful of what she's watching and what she's allowing inside that unconsciously is programming her actions. And then I have a thought. My grandson, both of my children are impacted by what we read and what we listen to. So I decided, and this goes to Shantae's point about being programmed, I decided to intentionally, while I'm riding with her, no phones, no conversations with other people. I now play Napoleon Hill. I play it loud. I now play Carl Jung, all Les Brown, all of the people that I listen to, I play in the car and I am programming her mind. And many of you were here a few weeks ago when I'm sitting here preparing to go live and had just gone live. She walks in, just woke up. She was visiting for the weekend and she asked for my cell phone. I said, why? And she said, I want to play that video from Carl Jung yesterday. So now unconsciously and on purpose, unconscious for her, but on purpose for me, I have programmed her mind to want and desire to listen to what I listen to. This is so powerful, not just for the children, but for adults. So Shantae, can you give us one example of this principle and how it has impacted you in your life? An example.
My Cabbage Patch doll, I grew up dirt poor, and I really truly I understand that it can't be done by proxy, Miss Ann. And I think a lot of times because we're so used to ordering things and delivery and all of these things outside of ourselves, but this subconscious mind, there's so much power in it. There was no reason for me to believe that I could actually get, they call them adoption dolls. We were dirt poor, barely able to put food on the table, Miss Ann. But guess what? I could not let that thought go. Just like the book says, the subconscious mind works day and night. Listen, I cut out pictures of that Cabbage Patch doll that I wanted. I slept with it. I used my imagination as well. All of these things go into that subconscious mind. It didn't matter how many birthdays or Christmas went by. Guess what? I had that one singular thought that I am going to own one of my own Cabbage Patch dolls. I had a name already ready. I had activities already ready. So there was nothing that you could put in my mind or program me with outside of that, because I had that singular focus that I would be the proud owner of a Cabbage Patch doll. And it took over 18 months, but it finally happened in the midst of a time period where there was no hope. And we're talking about early 1980s, Miss Ann. I need people to catch this. This was in 1984. I'm talking about where we had the long food lines and everything. And I'm talking about I want a Cabbage Patch doll. They already had a limited supply. And here it is. I had that one singular focus. Anytime my little ad got messed up, Miss Ann, guess what? I went and cut out a new one, went and borrowed from the neighbor's paper. Listen, can I cut this out? And I had it day and night. It was an obsession. I never lost hope. I never, got discouraged when my birthday came and it wasn't there, Miss Ann. Why? Because I knew once I saw my best friend get one. Listen, my grandma used to tell me if somebody else getting a blessing, listen, that means that delivery is on your street. Listen, and it'll be there in the by and by. And guess what? I ended up in 1986. I got my Cabbage Patch doll. Ooh, I'm gonna say that one more again. Do you know what that's like for a small child when you want something as bad as you want to breathe, as Eric Thomas likes to say? Listen, I wanted that Cabbage Patch doll very bad. I wanted it so bad. And this is why I love the fact that the libraries contain books like this. Think and Grow Rich you can find in the library, Miss Ann. Your subconscious mind has so much power to it. It has so much power. And so it didn't matter that I had a Christmas, a birthday. No, no, listen, 1984 went by, came and gone. 85 came and gone. Now we at 1986. My birthday came. Guess what? I didn't get that in Cabbage Patch doll. But guess what showed up Christmas time? 1986. Woohoo! Listen, I got my Cabbage Patch doll. I got my Cabbage Patch doll. And when you talk about the excitement and the hope, see, because I never let go of that thought, I had that singular thought. I had activities. There was nothing more powerful in my mind other than the fact that I knew this was going to happen for me. And not only that, when my friends got that blessing of that Cabbage Patch doll, I celebrated as well with them. I didn't get mad. I didn't get angry. I didn't get jealous. See, these are all things that are approached in this book, that the four warnings about, giving in to anger and all these different emotions that won't serve your goal. And so there's so much untapped power that we have within that subconscious mind. And that subconscious mind and this principle in this book brought me that Cabbage Patch doll. Back to you, Miss Ann. I'm gonna hold my mule right there.
Oh my goodness. I had to go. Oh my gosh. Listen, what you just did also helped us to understand the power of this energy. The energy. I want to say it again, the energy. What you just did helped us to understand the power of the energy.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. Your energy, and Napoleon Hill tells us that it's the feelings and the emotions that moves the subconscious mind. And oftentimes we want to pray, oh, our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed. I will have, I know that I have. No, what is the feeling? If you felt, Shantae, can you put it in the chat? Felt. Just the word felt is fine. Just put the word felt, F-E-L-T, in the chat if you felt her energy. How did it make you feel? And so Lynn Whitfield asked a question, and I want to, Lynn, come back to your question. And your question spoke to, let's go back to your question. How do you deal with people who have okay, here it is. How do you suggest people learn to stop using the limiting language? How do you become more aware? Now, I host a retreat once a year, and normally it's the first or second week in November. And it is called Niche to Be Rich. That's a 1 day. And then same week, I host a 3-day retreat called Life and Legacy. And one of the first things that I do before people come, I ask them to bring their obituary in writing. Excuse me, send it to me first and then bring it. So we could start at the end and work backwards. So Lynn, this is coming to your question. The second thing I do, Lynn, is this. And if any of you can see this, put it in the chat. What do you see I'm holding up in my hand? I want the picture of this subconscious programming to be impactful. What am I holding in my hand? Can you write it in the chat? Now, this is what I do when we start. This is what we do when we start. I take, everybody has a box, and you have one of these in the box. And we take one. Lynn, here you go. You put it here. See that, Lynn? Okay, this demonstration. And every time the person, just in case you're the person, you say something that's limiting or you use the negative, you do this. Pop, pop. And you go throughout your day. Now, this is self-discipline. You say something again, you pop. And you give others permission, because oftentimes we're not conscious of what we're saying. That's why they call it conscious language. Oftentimes we're unconscious. Somebody else can hear it, and you give them permission to come over to you and do what? Put it way up and pop. I'm not going to pop myself that hard. But again, Then this is an exercise. It costs very little, but you want to know how, you want to know how the words you speak. I started this off by saying, let the meditation of my heart, yes, be acceptable. Why? The words of my mouth and the meditation. This is an example, Lynn, and I hope this works in terms of answering your question. All right. I'm going to come back to Shantae. We're going to go ahead and we're going to prepare to wrap up. If, again, you have a question or comment, I'm going to put in the chat again, text the number 59925, and I'll change my name here on Zoom. Text the number 59925 if you have a question and or comment or something that you'd like to connect with me about, because I really want to make sure that we make ourselves available. I am promoting and encouraging all of you to start and run your own successful mastermind group. That's my desire. My desire is to have 50 mastermind groups. They can be current groups, or you can start a group. I want to help you start and run your own mastermind group. And we use this. And we also use, this is called How to Start and Run Your Own Successful Mastermind Group. I'm in a group. I'm not the leader of the group. And in the group I'm in is Sharon Jackson, Doretha Dennis, Dr. Mariama Williams, her sister, Stephanie Ebanks, Dr. Betty Knighton, and myself. There's 6 of us. And right now, during the month of November and all of December, we're going through our annual meeting for our life. And we will hold our own annual meeting in the month of December before we get to the annual meeting for International Masterminders Think and Grow Rich annual meeting. This is not a conference. Let me say it again for those of you who want to know, like somebody reached out to me and say, oh, can I do a breakout? Can I speak? No, this is not that. This is, I'm involved with over 50 different civic organizations myself. I have no intentions of having a conference or going to another conference for my life. I go to a conference for each of my businesses. I go to church for spiritual. I go to Better Investing for my investing life. I go to all of these different places, but where can I go? One place where everything is in one place. You see, that's what we do here because we have questions. It's called a survey. We have a survey where you, and I'm going to make sure that people who understand the workbook survey that covers every single area of your life. And when you register and when you come, we expect you to bring the survey. Let's say you show up every area of your life. Let's say you show up and you don't have anything in your hand. And Galen is not here, but I like to talk about him because his first year he came, he just showed up all big and bold and all of that, and he was ready to go in. He couldn't enter the door. Why? Because he had not brought his life in writing. So we gave him the survey outside the room. He had to fill it in before he could enter the room. And Shantae shaking her head up and down, and Lynn Whitfield and Sharon Jackson and Doretha and everybody who's been there before, you know how it works. Starting next week, if you have already registered, you will start receiving the homework. This is for your life and every area of your life. And so my blessing today is the fact that I have an opportunity to go into places that normally I don't get a chance to go because we've had so many guests and we've had so many co-hosts. My desire is to have 50 mastermind groups. And right now, I'm almost halfway there. And this is just from people expressing a desire to start a group. You don't have to have all the details, because in order for you to drill down into your subconscious mind, in order for you to input information into your chat, your bot, you have to be clearer on what you desire spiritually, family, financially, health-wise, all of the different areas. And if you are not clear, the survey will help give you clarity. And so, Shantae, I want to just have you, if you have any closing words, let me just see if there are any comments, additional comments in the chat. Words, images, emotions, felt. You felt, yes, you felt her. Oh, thank you. Rubber bands, yes, rubber bands, yes, rubber bands. Yes, that'll do it, a rubber band. I tell you what, I'll challenge each of you today. My number, I don't have a problem putting my number in the chat also, 786. Help me, Doretha, somebody, 546-0184. You want to chat? Text me, 786-546-0184. Somebody can put that in the chat for me. I put it in there myself. Okay, 6546-0184. Yes, I'm typing. And that's Ann. I live on text. Text me, and yes, I will. Let's make sure the number's right. I will follow up. But 59925, let's put that in the chat. 59925. Text that. Text. And then put Ann in the chat. Ann in chat. All right. I'm going to go ahead and plan to wrap up. Shantae, I'll give you the last words if you want to have any comments. Want to remind
Absolutely.
everybody, yes.
Yes, my words are really and simply Napoleon Hill's words in the subconscious mind chapter. He says, listen, the subconscious mind works day and night. Its power, Miss Ann, listen, it's imponderable. It's stupendous. Tap into it. It doesn't take a day off. Neither should you when it comes down to the power and the wisdom of our subconscious mind. Be blessed.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful holiday weekend, what's left of it. But also remember to subscribe to the YouTube. Click that bell, notification bell. Join us next week. We will be here. We will be here. Yes. We will be here. God willing and life lasts, we will be here. And we'll look forward to seeing you. All right. So until next time, everybody have a blessed and wonderful day. And remember to continue to think and grow richer, and also continue to think and niche to be richer. All right, everybody. Thank you. See you next time.